Hello, in this video I'm going to tell you how to mount one of our Link power supplies below a Templeboard. In our Link range, the professional, we have the Eventide PowerFactor 2, the DC5 which we've already shown you how to mount. It's actually right here. So it's very simple because it's just 2 screws. So in this video I'm going to show you how to mount this guy and then these two, and maybe this connects to this one. Let's see. We can start with the Eventide PowerFactor 2. You have to watch out for the version. You have to have version 1.1, which is the one which is compatible with Templeboards. So with this power supply you get a little zip bag which contains some screws, a hex key and some standoffs. So you have the possibility, when you remove the rubber feet of the power supply, you can either mount it directly flush with the bottom of the pedal board, but this means that you cannot have any pedals or these finger screws below the board where the power supply is. So we suggest actually you use these standoffs to elevate the power supply so it's in a distance from the bottom of the bottom plate. You screw these one in to these holes which are actually matching the grid. Now you have to consider where you want to place the power supply. We suggest you have the plugs facing this way. And here there are no knobs, no inputs, nothing, just the fan. So you can actually place it like here. And this will give you a little bit of clearance from the bottom. So you actually have to move it quite far this way so you get the clearance. Here you can see that this is actually below this point. And before you start attaching the power supply with the screws, you should mount all the pedals on top. So if you want to have a pedal right here, which would be in the place where the power supply is, you should mount it first. So say you have a pedal here. Maybe you've got 2 pedals like this. But these are 8 millimeters tall. And this is the same height as these standoffs. So here you go. We can then place the power supply right here. Find a spot where you actually match. So that could be right here. So for the PowerFactor 2 you should use 4 screws. And for the Schizophrenic and the Big John there are only 3 screws needed. Now use the key to tighten the screws. There you go. So you have 2 pedals here, which are just above the power supply. And here's the power supply. Actually here you have the access to the switch, which makes it possible to travel around the world with the power supply and use it in Europe, on the United States, at 230 or 110 volts. And there's also enough space to have the mains plug here. Here you have the outlet which you can use to attach another power supply or our link cable. And here you can have maybe a DC5 if you want. This is of course a small board where the power factor should be sufficient to power all the pedals you have on top. But these boards, they come in different sizes, so you might want to add a DC5 later. So this can be done with this link cable. And then you can maybe place it, I don't know, like this. That could be a solution. Okay, now I've shown you how to mount the Eventide PowerFactor 2 on this board. We'll continue and show you how to mount two power supplies which will be linked together. So if you need a schizophrenic and the Big John together on a Templeboard, it might be that you have a bigger board, but I just have these two to show you, but the procedure is exactly the same. So you remove the rubber feed. I'll do it quite fast now, but because we've shown you already how to do it. You use these standoffs on 3 holes. And say this will be the first power supply, which would get the power from a mains power cord or one of these power modules from Temple Audio. And say you want this one to be placed right here. So you use the included screws. Okay, so this is one, and you have access to the mains plug. And now if you're using one of these link adapters, you might figure out that the holes won't match the grid on the Temple Audio board. And therefore we also have a link cable. It does exactly the same, but this is flexible and you can have another distance in between the power supplies. So I suggest you use this one when linking to other link units using Templeboards. Actually, when you're using these distance pieces, you don't have to remove the rubber feed. You can leave them on if they're not in the way for any of these finger screws. Here we go. So I'm using the output, the mains output of the schizophrenic to power the Big John. And now I have to figure out how to place this one so this cable actually is able to be here. It could be like this, maybe. So again, I'm looking to find. Yeah, here we go. And the last one. Here we go. There you have two power supplies. They're linked together. So this one would get power probably from a mains power cord, and this one is powered of this one. And there's, if you can see, the bottom or the top surface of the Big John is actually below this wide piece of the pedal board. There is no problems with clearance. It's all nice. The same procedure should be used when you're linking the Eventide PowerFactor 2 with a schizophrenic or other two link power supplies. If you've got questions, you can mail me. Otherwise, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.